Okay, it's 9:32, so let's start the meeting. I think everybody knows who I am. Do we have any visitors or new members online here?
No,
Nope, doesn't sound that way. Okay, our meeting protocol is going to be the standard one where we're going to have reports, and then the business meeting, then we'll have a program, and then we'll do a show and tell and finalize it. To that point, we're going to have from my perspective, a fairly short meeting today. There's not a whole lot of information to cover, so that can be a good thing. If people want to stick around afterwards and shoot the bull some more, that's fine. In regards, can we have a secretary's report?
Daryl.
Hey, turn your mic on.
Yeah, you're muted, Carol.
Sorry, what do I do? I don't know. This is my first, I took the meetings last month, but what do I do?
Well, you can just basically say you submitted the secretary's
Okay,
report to
sorry.
everybody.
Like I said, sorry, I didn't know. Okay, I submitted the January report. Is that it? Do I need? I'm sorry.
Well, that's good.
Procedures.
Yeah. All in favor of approving the secretary report, say aye.
All right.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Accepted. Treasurer's report. Warren, do you have a report for us?
Yeah, I do. It's really 0 for expenses and deposits. So going into the month, we had $1,350.38, and that's the same amount going out. So.
All right.
Okay, that's good. As far as reports go, I'll start out with TLC Toys. For January, in cars, we had 170 of them that were made, 0 birds. Assisted living projects, which includes ornaments and other items that can be like angels and bigger items. We have 218 of those. That's pretty much made so far by 3 or 4 people. And one of the things that I made from Steve Good, I made a snowman that he has that's slotted. So that's kind of a cute little item. And then the angel, that's becoming quite popular. So if you, and again, it's a Steve Good pattern. That angel is 8.5 inches tall. I've reduced that down and sent that out to you people, where we have a 6-inch one, because a lot of our patterns of the smaller version are 6 inches, but then we have bigger ones. So if you do the angel and you stack cut 2 or 3 with the plywood, I suggest, and Roger Elwine, he basically brought it up as well. The eyes are oval, and when you cut 3 deep, it just seems like the bottom ones are not so oval. They become kind of off-centered and ragged and so forth. So, and even some of the left and the right eye can be look a little different. So the suggestion is to drill the holes, drill the eyes with a drill bit, and then that'll be uniform and they'll be round, but it'll be okay. That's better than having them not looking so good.
Yeah.
The other thing is that the tulip, Steve Good, if you look in his files there, he has a slotted tulip with a bee on it, and I redesigned that, modified it a little bit. I left off the bee and made the tulip, and instead of doing a double base, I just did a single base, and that tulip, his is a 9-inch one, and I just got through, and I'll show you the 9-inch one. But as of yesterday, I redid it to 5 inches, or 6 inches rather, and that's a cute little tulip when you use a slotted one, and it's fun to make. But when you modify, when you have a slotted project and you modify it, either whether you increase it or reduce it, there's things that can surprise you from the standpoint that the slot will increase or decrease. So you have to be aware of that and keep that uniform. And there's other portions of it that kind of get you too as well. And, so I made the tulip about 3 times before I got it right. But the tulip is fun to make. In the angel, we're going to have quite a bit of demand for that. So if you're looking for things to make, consider those two. We are taking on more assisted living. We got one in Coon Rapids, one in Blaine, the memory care and assisted living. There's a couple more that are pending, and the police force, we got a couple more of those online. And I just got an email from the Minnesota Department of Corrections, DOC, and right now they're not taking anything because of COVID, but they are really interested in our program to bring in items like Phil Lagarde did it over in Stillwater with the Washington County Police Department, where he gives them toys and then they give it to their kids when they come in. The inmates, you know, they got something to give to their children. And so now we're talking the Minnesota Department of Corrections. It could be for the whole state and prisons. We don't know. She's going to, when they start taking in more items, they're going to be contacting us, and Jim Barthel will be handing that off. So in other words, we could be in demand for a lot of items.
Hey, Gary,
yeah.
Can I interrupt you for a second there?
Yeah.
Department of Corrections has got a lot of industry themselves. I mean, they could be self-sustaining in that situation. Not that I think it's a bad thing, you know, for like sheriffs and stuff, but the Department of Corrections can make their own. They've got shops and everything else. And I'm thinking maybe we should be offering a train situation where we go train somebody or their shop to make them.
Well, that's not a bad idea. I thought, Don. They make a lot of license plates, don't they?
Yeah.
So that could be something we'll see how this transpires. We'll see what comes of it, what kind of demand they want, and yeah, if it becomes overpowering, right, we could probably go in there and train them and they can buy some. That's not a bad idea. But anyhow, so the other ones, the ducks and the rabbits, turtles, in the heart, we need more of those now as well. I got a order from Jim that we can use probably another 50 of those. And so if you're looking for things to do with the plywood, email me and we can discuss it. I can, and if you need patterns, I think you should have them, but if not, we'll work that out. So everything's looking good along that line. I also, vaulted birch plywood, I still have more to give away. So I know some of you got some more of this on the second give out, but I still have a bunch in my my garage. Let's see, I just picked up from Roger some items that he did 2 days ago. Danny, Judd, your Christmas trees, they look beautiful. I've been gluing them up. Just point out also, if you have slotted items, glue them up to give me. I know if they lay flat, you can store them better, but Jim doesn't want to glue them up. He wants to be able just to pass them on to somebody. So keep that in mind. But yeah, Danny, here's they really look nice. Any questions? Okay, if there's no questions, let's look at some. Next item would be the Pegasus scroll saw blades. I guess we don't have Bill Dean on here, do we?
No, he's
No,
not
I
here.
don't see him.
So the people that have ordered blades in from Bill, did you get them this month?
No,
I met him and got the ones I had ordered from him right before he left. He was heading to Texas, I think, for a couple weeks. So
oh,
he's out of town, or he was out of town anyway.
Okay, well, I thought he was going to mail them or whatever, but okay. I ordered some in regards to Pegasus blades. I ordered from 2 different places here about 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks, I guess 2 weeks ago. From QTE, I ordered some, and I got them in 2 days or 3 days. They just boom. They sent. I couldn't believe how fast they were. And then I ordered some from Cherrywood Toys, and they're the Wildwood place as well. I mean, they're kind of the same. And I ordered them a little over 2 weeks ago, and I have not received them yet. So, their price might be a little cheaper, but if you need them, you're going to have to, it's a long delivery time. And, you got to take that part into consideration.
yeah.
Other old business we have.
Before you leave that, or before you, I just read something on a forum either last night or the night before about Pegasus blades that there's a shortage or something, or everybody's got that same problem. It's not just the Cherrywood or whoever you mentioned there.
Cherrywood Toys, yeah.
Yeah, there's something going on. There was the question. I didn't pay too close of attention to the forum, obviously, but there was some comments about it that like everybody's having trouble getting them right now. So for whatever it's worth, there's something going on there.
Well, apparently QTE, they're not, they must have a long inventory because they sent them, like I said, I got them in 3 days.
Yeah, it could be. I look at a couple different ones, and it's probably like Scroll Saw Village or something. If you poke around on there, you'd probably find reference to it.
Okay. Well, if you're going to need blades, maybe you should be look at ordering some then if you're in a short supply. The other old business is elections. Would be next month. We'll be electing new officers and positions or confirming existing people. All I want to say is that the office is still open. We're still taking candidates. So if you want to throw your hat in the ring,
Or someone else's hat.
yeah, so throw in somebody else's hat, right? But the positions are still open, so keep that in mind if you're interested. And next month we'll give you a list of people that will be interested in that want to take on the position, and then we'll be voting in our March meeting. Any questions on that?
Gary,
Yes.
I just got a message from Bill Dean. He says he's in the hospital. I'm just asking him now what happened.
Oh.
So I'm just texting with him, so I'll let
Okay.
you know if he answers.
Okay.
All right.
The other, we're going to talk about new business, and we've got a request from Mullins Park Academy for the Maker Fest for 2021, and Mike is spearheading that, Mike Zenk, and can you give us some update and information on that, Mike?
Well, I got an email from Nicole Keen, who is their Maker Faire coordinator, and it's going to be from 11 to 1 on February the 20th, so it's only a couple weeks away. Normally we go up there and take a couple of saws and some of our work and display it out there, and then people kind of come in and out through the workshop that we're in, and then they have a gymnasium that they have other things in. So there's quite a bit of different, what would you call it, different hobbies, everything from leather work to ceramics to people making rocket ships and everything else that they can think of. So it seemed to go pretty well, didn't it, Gary? We had a lot of people that tried the saws and they came through there and were interested. So this year, though, they're going to do it as a Zoom meeting because they can't really bring anything in. So if anybody wanted to show any of their stuff, they could let me know and you could be part of it. I would just anticipate that maybe each of us would have 2-3 minutes of possibly a little slideshow of things that we've done. And then if anybody had questions, they could always ask you later when we get done. So we don't really know what's going to happen here until we experience this, but I think it'll probably be okay, just like our Zoom meeting here.
Is it one big Zoom meeting or are they going to have breakout rooms?
I have no idea, Mike. We're going to have to see. Because if they have all these people, there's a lot of people there, that they've had in the past. So I don't know how you do it and keep it organized. I think maybe she'll assign certain times, to certain groups so that maybe we'd get 20 minutes or a half hour or whatever we have for a time slot. And then we would just do ours. And then somebody else would be on at, at 11:05 or whatever, or 11:30. I guess. I mean, because if we have we have 20 some people here, they might have, well, I don't know, you'd have all the parents and all these other people. You could have hundreds of people in this thing. I don't know how you'd do it. Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Well, one thing would be like they do at conferences. They're going to have meetings that are about this topic over here and about this topic. And so, at 11 o'clock, there might be somebody with scroll saw and somebody with something else. And then the scroll saw people might do it again at noon or something so that the people could go attend different sessions. But that's how they run it. I have no idea how they're planning it.
Yeah. So you maybe would have a dozen different subjects or groups, and then you could log into whichever one you're interested in.
Yeah.
If you're not interested in scroll sawing, then you don't have to log in and watch it.
Well, there's also the ability in Zoom to have breakout meetings, but you'd probably need the controller of the Zoom meeting to try to get people shuffled around between them or something. I don't know.
Well, I'll probably get back to her and ask her that question, see how they intend to kind of run that. Good question. Yeah.
Gary?
Now that's what I suggest, Mike, is as soon as possible, get back to Nicole to find out how she plans on running this. And because I can't see 200-300 people, sticking on a Zoom meeting for 2 hours.
Yeah.
If we get a slot time or whatever, then we got to decide what time that is going to be. Cause I don't think people are going to stick around. They'll just come and want to listen to what they're interested in. And it's 2 weeks away. So if there's things that need to be planned on this and figured out, I think we need to work on it pretty fast.
Yeah, I'll follow that up tomorrow.
So Gary,
Yes.
I have an update. Both Bill and Jill are in the hospital with COVID.
Oh, geez.
Wow. In town or out of town?
I didn't ask them that, but if you want to send them a text or whatever, I'll put their phone number in the chat.
Wow. Well,
Well,
hopefully
maybe
they're
you
in
say-
town.
Maybe, Katie, maybe you could send an email out to everybody, all the members, and
I'll do that.
with their email address and things. And
Yeah, that's better.
Yep.
I'll do that.
boy, that's 2 of them.
Yeah.
Well, that's bad.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other new business? That's all I've got.
For what I just posted the link in the chat if anybody's interested in that. I found that note about Pegasus saw blades in the forum. So you can look at it in your own time or whatever, but there's a
Thank
link
you.
too.
Yeah, thanks. That's Scrosaw Village, the way it looks. Dan.
Yep.
Well, that'd be interesting. I know at one time back about a year and a half ago, Steve Good said that the Pegasus blades, they were going to put a little dimple on it like the Flying Dutchman is. And it's been over a year and a half and I've been buying blades right along and I have not seen any dimple on them yet. And so I sent last week, I sent Steve Good a email, say, where's the dimple? But he never replied.
One thing I noticed on the Pegasus blades is that the newer ones that I've gotten have the taper on the tip, so it's easier to insert through a hole.
You're right. I noticed that too, Warren. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do those tend to cut straighter than the other blades? I mean, as far as, not being stamped?
Oh, they're still stamped.
They sure do for me.
But do they grind off the one edge so it goes straight?
I don't know.
I think they just keep the edges uniform so they go real straight.
Yep.
But there's nothing that I've ever seen that cuts as straight as they do.
Oh, yeah.
And plus they last a little longer, I think.
Yep. Yeah, I'm working my way through some and they always, go one direction. And
Well, Roger, you like them. You've been experiencing with blades doing a lot of cutting. What have you found?
Muted.
oh, you're muted, Roger.
You're muted, Roger. Yeah.
How about now?
Yep.
Good.
I find that, the Pegasus blade versus the Olson, Pegasus is a lot more aggressive as well as it stays sharper longer. The Olson, when I get to something that is really detailed, I like to use the Olson because it does cut a little bit slower and I have better control over it.
Absolutely.
And that's what I'm finding. It's I've got a place for each one. It all depends on what I'm working on.
I would absolutely agree with that because as I do a lot of the frat work, the Pegasus blades are just way, way, way too aggressive for what I do.
Huh.
Yes.
And it tears the living daylights out of the wood. So it doesn't do me any good if I have to go back and try and fix everything because it rips the material upside down and you lose control. And I stick to the Olson blades. They work for me and I have no reason to change.
Yeah.
Yeah, I use a 28 tooth 44,000 blade when I do the real fine detail, and it's really more forgiving. Yeah, I cut slower in that, but at least I have the control that I need.
I use the O2 blades, and I very rarely go any place else other than that unless I go into thicker material.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it depends too on what type of wood you're cutting too.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, but I use both, and it all depends on what I'm cutting. It makes a big difference.
Yeah.
You got to have control. If you don't have that, you're going to have firewood.
Pretty much.
Well, you two would know. You do a lot of fret work and
No.
Go ahead. Any other new business?
What happened here?
Well,
Something just happened.
Somebody's sharing their screen.
I
Fred's
lost,
sharing
yeah,
the screen.
Fred is sharing a screen.
I think it's me. No, it's Fred.
Fred is.
Yeah.
Fred.
Fred, nice to
Fred.
see you. Go up to
Hey,
the, there he is. Where are you?
He's blank.
You got to go down to the bottom of your screen. Well, I don't know if you can hear us yet.
Yeah, back.
We got the Gardner report on meeting solutions anyway.
Is Fred on yet?
Fred, are you here? Let's see.
We see
Well, you're
your
waiting for
name.
him. Jeff
Yeah.
and Roger, where do you guys source the Olson blades? I mean, we can look online, but
I get mine from the Art Factory. Carol.
yep.
Yeah.
I've gotten some at Rockler. I've got some, Menards carries them as well, you know, if I need
Oh,
something in a
okay.
hurry. Otherwise, I've ordered it, but Menards doesn't have all the types that I want.
Yeah.
So,
One thing, Danny, the Art Factory, we've had a good relationship with those people. You know, they came up and did a program with us, and she's still, Dirk passed away, but she's
Yep.
still selling blades and stuff. So I like to give them some business. And I'm the same as these guys. I use a few of the Pegasus, but I still like my Olson blades better.
Okay.
And so,
I've only used Pegasus, I think, other than I got an old scroll saw that uses pin blades.
Depends what you're doing. If you're doing fine stuff, they're just too aggressive. And,
Okay.
Huh.
Interesting.
So, but yeah, Karen Bowman down there at Art Factory.
Sure.
And I think she's just the same price as everybody. So
I'll take a look.
Last blades that I bought at the Art Factory, I bought a gross of O2s, and I think I paid $29 for them. So that's a little cheaper than I was looking in the Wooden Teddy Bear catalog, and they're $30-some for a gross. So she's a little cheaper.
I don't do that much fret work, but I was interested what you guys said about the aggressiveness. That's interesting. It'd be nice to have a few on hand.
Yeah.
One little side note that I've heard from Steve Good is that when he's doing some really delicate stuff, he keeps some dull blades, used blades, so they're not so aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I've heard of that also. I have done that in the past, but it's easier just to grab another blade.
Actually, what I've in the past put a new blade in when I've got something really delicate and actually taken a scrap piece of wood and run it through a scrap piece of wood a little bit, take some of the edge off of it.
Right.
Of course, it depends too how thick your wood is. If you're working with a 1/4 inch plywood and you're not stacking, you know, then the aggressiveness can be a real issue. But if you stack them 3 deep and you got 3/4 inch wood, you know, then it's pretty nice to have a sharp blade. And the other day I was cutting a plaque out of hickory, and boy, that stuff was that was hard. And I tell you, you needed a sharp blade and an aggressive blade.
Wow.
So if you keep a scrap piece of plywood around and just run it blade through that a few times, the glue in the plywood will dull it up pretty quick.
Yeah, and that's true. The plywood. Roger, you commented on that too. You go through more blades when you cut that bulky birch plywood.
Yeah,
I personally don't cut plywood if I don't have to.
Right.
Huh.
Well, we got a lot of it available.
It'll take the burr off it real quick.
I don't particularly care for the glue that gets in the air that comes off the plywood, so I personally don't use it if I don't absolutely have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can smell it at times, you know. Yeah, especially when when it starts burning the wood, you know.
Same way with MDF. I don't cut that either.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, you got to be careful.
Yeah, well, you want to be wearing a mask and have ventilation and okay. Any other business?
How many sheets of the plywood do you have, Gary?
How many you want?
Well, I don't know.
All I say is give me your wish list. I went over to last week. I took 15 sheets for myself because I've already gone. You know, I've been doing quite a bit of cutting of it for ornaments and different things, and I took some of my last sheets. I cut myself on my table saw, but it's a smaller saw, and then I took 15 sheets over to Roger, and he's got a stop saw, a big one, and he cut my 5-footers down into 2 foots and 2 feet, and then 1 foot. That's more manageable for me. And his big table saw worked real nice for doing that. But I still have sheets in my garage that you know, I'd like to give more of it away, and and get more people to cut some of these angels and tulips and things.
All
Well,
right.
Gary, you just got to start cutting a little bit more so you don't have so much plywood.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks, Roger.
Yeah.
Gary, do you need the ornaments yet? Or, because I probably got a box of 50 or so sitting there for you. If you need them, I'll get them to you.
Well, I don't know what, it depends what kind of ornaments you have. Right now, we've got orders for the angels and tulips, and then for the little ones like the Valentine hearts. In fact, I can send you a picture of the
Okay.
people at Guardian Angels that
Well,
were decorating the hearts.
I've got some angels done. I contacted a senior living place here in Shakopee and gave them 18 trees. They're pretty happy to get them. So I think it's a good idea with this senior living, this project now. I really like the turn we've made in supporting that. So
Okay, great.
there's plenty of, I would guess you could call any senior living place and they'd take some trees.
I've been contacting a lot of them, and I think with COVID, they're so doggone busy. They're all
Right.
They all seem to be interested, but they don't follow through.
I've had that same problem.
Yeah. So stay with it.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask if it's possible, if you've got a list, it sounds like you've got a list of preferable patterns you'd like to have done. Can you email those?
I will do that.
Thank you.
Yeah. I have, or email me and let me know. I can specifically send you the pattern or send you in the direction. Most of them are on Steve Good's website that you can do, and you can modify them a little bit. Yeah.
I had the thought that you might have selected a few that you'd like to have us concentrate on.
He might be talking about the TLC patterns, Gary.
Yeah. Most of them, like I said, for the ornaments and so forth, you could go on Steve Good's and pick a lot of them out and just, whatever ornaments you want to make. But in regards to the angels and the tulips that I'm making, I'll be sending, I sent the angel out already, but the tulip, I'll be sending that out. Suggestion, if you get into making a lot of them, I would say make templates out of them, and then you could just trace the templates, because these are pretty simple patterns, and you'll save time from putting down spraying with adhesive and that type of thing, and then stacking them as well. I stack them 3 high, and but yeah, send me an email. You have my email to request information, and we can go along that line as well.
Do you ship to Florida on the plywood?
You want to pay the freight?
Yeah, it might be cheaper than buying it regular and even not shipping.
Yeah.
Plywood along any coastal region is pretty valuable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I figure those sheets are, if you bought them out of the store or Rockler or someplace, you're probably looking at about $7 for each one of those 5-foot sheets by 2 feet.
Maybe Gary visit Florida.
Yeah.
Gary, you just might get a volunteer to take it down to Florida.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, they're going to be busy down there tomorrow with the big game.
Yep.
And but Mike, if you want plywood, let me know.
Okay.
And then if there's enough people, we can work out making a delivery. I imagine Fred Flanagan will be emailing me and tell me to come over and pick up some of the stuff that he's finished. He really scroll saws a lot for us. And
Yeah.
okay. With that, we can go to our program, and Mike, you're our program director. What do you got listed for us today?
Oh, it's Mike's Garage. Now
Mike's Garage. Okay.
Yep. This has been kind of an interesting process for me. At least I learned a lot. I had to make a video. So gee, I had to get a tripod, I had to put everything together, figure out which worked better, the camera or the telephone. So I finally went with the camera, that worked better. And then you have to film it. Well, you film everything in little clips. And then you go, well, you got halfway through that one and you lost your train of thought. So you started again. I don't know how many times I restarted these things. But anyway, I wasn't sure I would even have 10 minutes worth of stuff. And when I got done, I had, easily 30 some minutes, and we had to cut that back to 20. So we had to get rid of most of the stuff on the table saw. And so I have enough probably for another video. And we didn't even get to the jigs and fixtures that I like to have. And so that would be probably another video sometime. So I think I could do another one just with the clip. Yeah, with the clip outs that I had. So anyway, if we're ready, I will start that. Oh, and if you have any questions, just kind of save them till the end and then I'll answer anything. Okay, here we go. Hi, welcome to Mike's Garage. Every garage is a little bit different. Every workspace has a little bit different setup. So let's take a look at what I've done with mine. Well, let's get started. Now here's my garage. It's a basic 2-car garage, 22 feet by 22 feet. Everything kind of is stored around the out perimeter of the garage. I have a router table on the bottom shelf there. I have a table saw underneath. As we go around, we'll see my miter saw, a grinder mounted on the wall. In the corner, there's a scroll saw. Next to that, the Delta band saw. Here's my old toolbox that I used for many years as a machinist. And here's my drill press. Now here's my workbench with a bunch of storage cabinets with all the screws in. A larger cabinet that has bolts and nuts and washers. And there's my cabinet that I keep my oil and oil filters in. I also have an air compressor and some more of jack stands and a jack for working on the car. Well, here in Minnesota, the first thing you're going to need if you work in your garage is a heater. So we installed this heater last fall to replace an old furnace, which was working fine, but it's a bit too big. So when you'd get it going, it would be so hot after it got warmed up in here that you couldn't hardly work. So it wasn't very comfortable. Now this is a Resnor heater, 45,000 BTUs, and it works real well as far as your comfort level, and it seems to heat reasonably well. You're probably better off to go in and have breakfast first and let it warm up, because it'll take a little bit longer than the old furnace. But once it gets going, you're going to be very comfortable. So this is a good investment. Last summer, I put in a new garage door to replace an old wooden one that was 40 years old and starting to fall apart. So this one is a well-insulated door of a R18, and it's a steel door, very nice looking on the outside with the recessed panels, and very quiet. So it's a nice door. So I really like that. Next is a ceiling fan, which is almost a must-have out here, because if you do have a heater, you need to get that heat down to the ground so you'll be comfortable. And so I installed a new one here probably a couple years ago to replace an old one that had kind of given up the ghost. And this works real good. It's just a 3-speed with a chain on it, but it works real well. Another thing you'll need is good lighting. You'll notice there's 4 sets of 2 dual 60-watt bulbs, LEDs now, that are up on the ceiling around. And then we also have 4 40-watt fluorescent bulbs up over the workbench. There's also the light for the garage door opener that has 2 more 60-watt bulbs in it. And then each particular piece of equipment has another light on it. So everyone has a little gooseneck light on it, which makes a big difference. Now you can probably go to Goodwill almost every week and find another gooseneck lamp that clamps on, and they're like $2-3, so it's a good deal, and that's where I got mine. You'll also need a place to put your tools and various other things that you'll need. So here we have some clamps and a bunch of odds and ends up there. This is all my hand tools, screwdrivers, pliers, socket wrenches, all that are in these drawers. And on the bottom, we have more drills, gear like those knee pads and so on, and a few of the old corded drills that I had years ago. And here's another cabinet with saw blades and sandpaper. You'll need somewhere to put your wood. Here I've got some stored on top of the shelf here on the one end of the garage. There's more up here on a shelf. And there's some more down here, a little more of the hardwood that I stored that I don't use as much on these 2 shelves. Now let's go through the tools I use when I'm out here every day and the most important ones that I think I have. So I'll try to list maybe the top 10 roughly that I use virtually every time I'm out here. Now the number 1 tool that I use each time I'm out here, each and every time, would be the tape measure and a pencil and safety glasses with earplugs. And so those are the most important ones and the most critical. Now the next tool that I find almost indispensable out here is my vernier caliper. If I want an accurate measurement, this is the tool I go to. It slides in and out, very easy to use. If you want to check the outside diameter of, say, a drill bit, you'd squeeze it. That'd be a 1/2-inch drill bit. If you wanted to check the inside diameter of a hole, you'd put it in there and check, and you'd have a 1/2-inch ID. And if you wanted to check the thickness of a piece of wood, you could do it with this, and you'd find it was 0.260. So with this, you can achieve good accuracy, and you're usually about as good as your measurements, and so I find that invaluable. Next, you'll need some squares to mark your work with so that you can measure, make a line, and then cut it. And the one I use the most is a sliding square. You can slide it in and out, make a mark there or along the edge, and go ahead and cut it. Next one I use a lot would be this large square, and that's for checking the angles of your corners to see after you've gotten them off of your table saw or whatever, and make sure you're square. You can also use a protractor square. This can be set at any angle, so you can make an angled cut. This is just part of the more accurate machinist square. And then this device will allow you to make a mark along a round or a square object turn it 90 degrees, make another mark, and that will find the center for you. So this is a handy device to have too. Another item you'll need somewhere along the way will be a level. So we have a 2-foot level, 1-foot level, short level, a round level, and one of the best new gadgets I've found in a long time, the electronic level. This is accurate to 1/10 of a degree, or pretty close to that, which is way better than what we normally would need. But we'll see this in action when we set up our table saw later. You'll need a good set of drills and a decent hand drill too. So here we've got a set of fraction drills up to 1/2 inch in diameter, a set of number drills that goes up to a bit less than 1/4 of an inch, so all your small drills. Here we've got a drill guide that I made for the most common sizes. This is 1/2, 3/8, 5/16, and 1/4. If you want to drill a hole in the middle of a large piece, you'd mark it and then set that on there. You'll get a nice straight hole with your drill. You might also want to make a drill guide out of a piece of wood for your taps. If you ever want to tap a hole and get it straight, you'd set that on your hole, and then you could get a nice straight tap through there. Also, you want a good drill, and these drills nowadays have a lot of torque, so they work very well. They're much better than the old drills that had the cord on them and tremendous power. You'll want some different screwdrivers, Phillips, slotted, putty knife. You're going to need some different bits, Torx bits probably. You'll want some different wrenches, and you'll want different pliers. You want pliers, a needle nose, and a wire cutter. And there's vice grips and all kinds of other things that you could have, but these are kind of some basic ones. Next, we move to the table saw. One of the most important things is to be sure your blade is perpendicular with the surface of the table of your saw, and this is where the electronic level comes in handy. So we'll set that on there. Wait for it to zero out. It says 0. We attach it to the blade, and it's 90 degrees. So that is real good accuracy, as good as we need, so I would quit right there. Well, here's my table saw. When I have it set up, I usually pull it kind of into the middle of the garage. I would like to go in a little more depth on it, but we won't have time today to do that. But perhaps that's another video for a later time. Here's my 14-inch Delta bandsaw. When I set this up, I usually set it up close to the workbench so that if I'm working on small pieces, I can reach them easily. Here's my 12-inch DeWalt miter saw on this cabinet on wheels. This is what I use with this fixture to make my diamond shapes, to make my 3D cutting boards. Now below, there's lots of storage for fixtures and for spare blades. So it's a real handy setup. Here's my 20-inch DeWalt scroll saw. On the top here, I have a gooseneck light. I have another light on an arm with a magnifier in it. And then as we go down, I have 3 drawers on this setup. Top drawer has my blades. Second drawer, I keep my foot pedal in. And the third drawer is odds and ends. Now I like to stand, and so if you stand, you're going to want a nice comfortable pad to stand on. So this measures about, a little over 2 feet, say 30 inches by about 20. And then I have a foot pedal that I built years ago. And so I think I'm pretty well set up for comfortable cutting. Air filtration is important in your shop, and I made this last summer out of the blower motor from the furnace that I removed from the garage. I put in the new ceiling heater. So I made a box that rolls on the floor, set the blower in there. I set it on the lowest setting, which still moves quite a bit of air. And then it has a removable air filter medium that you can take out and wash get the dust out of it. I put a switch on it. And then in the front, it has a wall register for your heat duct, and you can adjust that up or down whichever way you want it to go. So let's give it a try here. Next, we come to routers. The first one on the left is a Porter cable plunge router. Now, a plunge router is very handy because you can put it up or down by sliding it, releasing a locking lever, and then you can take off just a little bit at a time. It's especially handy for doing inlays where you need to cut a recess in a piece of wood, but a little bit at a time. So you can see where it can go up or down, and there's settings that you can lock it so that it'll only go so far down, and then you can adjust it literally a few thousandths at a time. The next router I have that's real handy is a little hand router. It's a Bosch 1¼ horse variable speed router. And the nice thing about it is it's compact, small, has a small footprint. It's especially good for doing the edges of something, but it'll also do those inlays too if they're not too big. So I like that one because it's so much lighter than the other one. And my last router is an old Craftsman, probably 35, 40 years old, single speed. It's been a good old workhorse all these years, and I just leave it attached in my table. And I leave the same bit in there all the time usually. If I want to make a radius on something or the corner, it's ready to go. So I just run the piece through and you're in good shape. Well, a couple months ago, I was having trouble with the router making a lot of noise. I finally decided that it was the bearing in the upper portion of the router. And so I went to Granger's and for $4.50 got another bearing, brought it home, and it took a bit of work over a couple of days, but finally got it back together. It was nice and quiet. So then I decided that, well, there was one other thing that bothered me, and it was that I would burn that beech wood that we have here from Ray Tuma. Whenever I would run it, it always runs at a very high speed, and it would burn the edges of that wood, and I'd have to sand all that, and it was just a lot of work. And I thought, well, wouldn't it be nice if you could run that a bit slower, and it would maybe not burn? So I went to Rockler after I'd looked online a bit, and they had this item there, a device, a variable speed control, and you can turn this up and down all the way from low, barely rolling, to all the way high speed again. So I usually use it.
I'm frozen up, Mike.
pretty much all the way to the bottom, so it runs pretty slow. And use a couple of these clamps out on the end to hold it down. And then when you brought in your pressure from the end, it wouldn't rise up, and that worked real good. So now I only use maybe 5 inches worth of boards at one time that I would glue together, so you don't have too many joints. If you get too many joints and too much glue, you just feel hurried and you don't have time to really make them the way you want, especially if you need to line them up. But this works real good, and you can take things apart and glue things up to probably 16, 18 inches wide, all stacked together. Well, that's it for today. I hope you've gotten a couple of new ideas. And just remember that most of mankind's greatest disasters have been prefaced by these 5 words. Hey, I think I've got an idea. Well, that's not all bad, as long as the idea is good every once in a while. That's how we've progressed as a civilization. So here's to good ideas and happy woodworking. Well,
Nice job, Mike.
Nice.
Way to go.
Very nice.
there we go.
Put that up on
Mike.
YouTube.
Well done.
Yeah.
Commercials on it.
Be a
Some good
star.
ideas. Some real
That's
good
good.
ideas. Any questions for Mike on his wonderful presentation?
When is your jig video going to be available?
Oh, anytime, I could make one up and we'll show that at another meeting. That would be fine. It's not that bad making it. It's once you get the little clips, then I have a program right on Windows 10, and you can put those clips in, move them around, you can trim them, and it works real good. It's called Video Editor. So I found that works real nice. So it used to be the old Movie Maker, and that was just a pain, but this new one works good. So
Excellent.
yeah.
What camera did you use, Mike?
I've got a Canon G15. So it's kind of a nice camera. I've probably had it 7 or 8 years now, so it's getting up there a little bit. But these cameras, always had a lot, and now the telephones are kind of taking over, the smartphones. But I found that I thought the sound was better with the camera.
Mike, it's just a regular digital shoot, point and shoot type camera, right? That has the video.
Yeah.
It has the video app on it? Or
Oh yeah, yeah, you
capability?
just,
Yeah.
yeah, it works real good. Just push that video button. And then you
I've got
walk-
an icon that'll do the same thing.
Yep. Yeah, you got to kind of walk out, stand there, and you have to stand still for a little bit because you're going to need to trim each segment. And so
Yeah.
it's kind of weird getting used to doing this. These actors must go through a lot of training.
I think you get used to it after a while.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting watching people with their YouTube videos, and I'm going, boy, he sounds a whole lot better than I do. And so I don't know, maybe people are able to form their thoughts as they talk. I find I kind of listen to myself and then I get lost. So I don't
Well,
know.
I think some of them might actually write things out before they do it.
Yeah.
So they have an idea what they're going to say to start with.
Yep. And
So
maybe
it might be a little easier if you did it that way.
yeah, and maybe like have some sheets with what's on it, like the comedians, they read this
Yep.
stuff, and
Yep.
and maybe that's the way they keep on track. It's easy to lose your train of thought. Mike Snyder. Oh, Mike Snyder.
Mike, you're muted.
You're muted, Mike Snyder.
I had a phone call in the middle of the meeting, so I muted. What you need is somebody with the clapboard that tells some action.
Action. There you go.
That's kind of what those are actually for too.
Yeah. Well, my wife would come out and I'd show her my video there, especially the intro, and she said, "Oh, that's got to go." I said, "Well, what should I do?" "Well, I don't know, spice it up a little bit." So I finally I added the drill and the square to it to kind of yeah it's
I tried to
comical.
tell him to smile, but
Smile. It's hard. You're in a garage talking to yourself and you're going, man, this is hard.
Not too hard though. Did anybody get inspired to do it on your workshop?
No.
Everything's on wheels in my shop. I have to wheel it out and wheel it back in the corner again. So you kind of adapt your own workspace to what you're going to do.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yep. So everybody kind of sets it up a little different. You have different requirements, and yep.
Well, you just let us. Anybody can let us know if you wanna video your workshop, and we'll get you the help you need.
Yeah, we could always show somebody else's shop. It's always interesting getting new ideas.
I thought the phrase that has gotten mankind in trouble for years was, "Hey, watch this."
Usually includes a couple of beers first, and hey, I've got
that's a good
idea. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Well, I think we already are seeing Danny Judd's garage.
There we go. That might be interesting video.
Mike, I took my workmate and it was on a stand, so I strapped it on a furniture dolly to get it where I need it.
Yep. Yeah.
Actually, I've got my workmate. I actually took a piece of plywood and I put a board underneath it, and so I clamped it on so I can put like my planer on. I can bolt the planer down to the top of it and do whatever I need, and then take it off and set it in the corner if I don't need it, and fold it up or do whatever I want.
Yep. Yeah, those workmates are pretty handy.
I actually have two of them.
Yeah.
One out in the shed and one here in the house.
It was like a lot of things. I walk through Menards and I look at them and I go, what on earth would I want that for? And it was kind of like the Craig system, of the screws at an angle. I used to always look at that and think, boy, what a dumb idea. I'll never use that. And then I had to repair my shed was falling apart, so I had to cut off some of the bottom, and boy, that worked real good.
Mike, when I first started working, I worked at a place called Decora Cabinets in Zumbrota. We put all our face frames together with pocket screws, and this goes back to the late 70s.
Wow.
And so that idea is very old. It's been around for a long time. But after I saw that, What a slick way to put face frames in cabinets together. It so quick and so easy.
Oh,
They had a regular floor machine, you know, to come up and do all the drilling, and you know, it just made things go together so much quicker.
well, when you had, you know, in the 70s, did you make your own fixtures to do that?
We had a table that you could put a whole face frame on, and it had
Yeah.
a sliding arm on it, yeah, or a couple of them actually. And so you'd put your pieces up there, and we had blocks cut for where your stiles and rails went, whether you had a drawer or whatever, and it would come down. You could clamp everything, and then you'd put your screws in, and so everything was all nice, square, and straight when you were done. And it made it just some sanding, and the sanding wasn't much because we'd run them through a time saver, and then you had to sand the scratches out of the cross grain, but that still didn't take very long. So when it was done, you were, yeah, you know, you could make a kitchen cabinet, you can make a set of cabinets for a kitchen in a matter of about 20 minutes.
Wow.
So yeah, we had all the rail stock was all pre-cut and all sitting in bins. You just go over and pick what you needed and put it together.
Yep. Yeah, they've come up with some good systems. You know, go ahead.
Yeah, we'd produce on the average of around, I think about 300 total kitchens a day.
Oh, wow.
That's how much time that saved.
Yeah. Yeah, and that little electronic level that I had, usually they run about $30, but if you keep watching them, about a month or so, they'll have a sale, and it's about $19.99. And so that's a good time to grab one if you're interested in one of those. And
Mike,
it really comes in handy.
Mike, I took mine and set it on a sign bar, and actually went and it was within less than accuracy of within less than about two or 3 seconds.
Yeah. Wow.
So I mean, I was impressed they were that accurate.
Yep.
I mean, that's more than what you need for woodworking, but I was curious just how accurate they were.
Yeah.
They're usually under $20 at Menards.
Yeah, I think that's where I got mine.
They're great.
Yep. Yeah, I bought, well, the one I got from Rockler, but I think they probably also have them at Woodcraft. And I just watch them, you know, online for a month or two, and they'll come on sale. And $20 for that item is just unbelievable.
So the only caution that I give is don't be stupid like what I did. I've got the Wixie one, and I went to check my miter saw blade, the 12-inch. I put it on the side, and I was looking at some things, and I forgot to take it off, and I started it, and she just went flying like a torpedo, and it cracked a little bit, but actually it still works. But
wow.
So don't forget to take it off your blade.
Yeah.
Start it.
Wow.
Another thing to Mike, guys, another thing to remember when you put them on a side of a saw blade, your saw blades are tapered. They're not straight. They go thinner as you get to the center.
Yeah.
So they're not sitting exactly you're not getting right to 90 degrees.
Yep. And some of the saw blades that I have look like a potato chip too as you go around, so they're not perfect, you know. They kind of waver or wander.
That's another thing to caution people. When you're tightening down a saw blade, they're only made to tighten down so far. So if you over tighten them, you are going to warp your blade. So you can take a new saw blade, tighten it down, and actually ruin it. So be careful how tight when I put a saw blade in, I take a piece of wood, and I learned this from working cabinet shop. Put the piece of wood in, and when your blade starts to move as you're tightening it, you're tight enough.
Yeah. So it's actually my fault.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
Okay.
That was, and then they actually make something, you plastic piece you put over the top that you can hold your saw blade, tighten it down. And
Yeah.
it will start to turn, and that's when you're supposed to stop. That's what that's actually made for.
Okay. Huh, I didn't know that.
Well, you learned something new today.
Yep, yep.
Mark and Gary have clarified that danger phrase. I used to do a comedy piece explaining guys to gals. And it was, I wonder what would happen if anytime it included alcohol, flammable fluids, explosives, or horsepower.
And what would happen?
Things you don't want to know about.
Yeah, yeah. Lots of great ideas.
All right, any other questions for Mike? Well, with that, let's go to show and tell. Katie, get things lined up for us?
Let's see. You gotta go down to your participant thing and raise your hand if you've got something to show.
Is that under chat?
That's under participants, I think, or is it
Yeah.
Right next to chat.
Participant.
participant? Okay.
There we go.
Okay, so top of my list, I've got Jeff Dad.
Okay.
Let me see if I can spotlight. Let's see.
All right. Share screen.
I don't think you got the share screen part down.
Come on, it's there.
You might have to click on share screen again, Jeff.
Okay, I get you. Nice going. There. Now, I thought I had it.
Down at the bottom, it's usually colored green.
There it is.
There you go.
There's a fish.
That's what I'm starting to work on. Actually, there's more of them, but that's partially done. They're glued down and finished yet, but I've got what 6 or 7 of them laying here, and then I've got another 12 multi-species, one that got 3 fish each, and I've got to do. So
Cool.
that's me.
Is that
Very
it?
cool.
That was
Yep.
cool. That's a
Yeah,
lot
That's
of,
it.
Very
that's a
nice.
lot of holes to drill.
Yes, I have never counted them, and I don't want to know. But that one takes roughly about 2.5 hours to cut out.
Okay, next on my list is Danny Judd and John Engler, you're on board.
Jeff, do you do them single or do you try stacking at all?
No, I do them singly.
Yep.
That's still there's just a little too much fine corners in that one that you can't really stack it and do it very well.
Thanks.
Well, since we have that day coming up here, this will last longer than something I go buy at the store. So I got that made.
Nice.
It's a Steve Good pattern. I just took some liberties with the color.
Is that Paduke or is that paint?
No, I don't use any paint. That's
Good. Bloodwood?
Bloodwood. Yep. Or no, that is Paduke. I'm sorry. That's Paduke, and that's
That's what it looked
poplar,
like it.
and that's some old wainscot that came when we remodeled our house years ago, and some walnut around the end.
Very nice.
And then just for Chris, that's where I got with. I'm not quite done with my states yet, but that's going to be a geography project I'm going to do with my one of my granddaughters, and so I got the states all cut out. Obviously they're different levels of or different thicknesses, so I gotta sand them all down so that it's roughly the same. It all fits about like Florida does here, flat. But anyway,
What's the size of the map?
that is 2 foot by 3 foot. So
It's a nice
the biggest part, hardest part was cutting out the outline of all the way around the outside. just because of the size. That was challenging. And by the time I got the middle part cut out and Alaska cut out, I said, the heck with it. I'm not going to even try to do the individual islands of Hawaii. So that's just one piece.
I didn't realize Hawaii was bigger than Alaska.
On the map I used, well, from end to end, probably isn't. Probably nobody. I'm not saying it's scaled to size perfectly, but that's what I got.
You can't put it scale to size, or Hawaii wouldn't even show up.
There you
That
go.
little.
But anyway, this is the one and only that I will do. I won't do another one of these.
Good job.
Wow.
Very nice.
So the
Very nice.
grandkids are going to have to share as they come of age to learn that stuff.
Okay, John Engler and Don Gore, you're gonna be on deck.
Okay, I've never shared a screen before, so we'll see how this goes here.
Welcome to the club.
Probably
not
seeing
quite.
too much stuff there.
Not quite. No, we're not quite seeing it yet. You gotta
Got
share
out
your,
of share screen.
yeah.
What's
you
that?
gotta- You're out of share screen. You gotta share your screen again.
Okay.
Share your screen, pick your photos, and then you have to go back and share screen again.
I thought I had them picked, but it's not.
I had to go back and pick mine.
You have to pick them from share screen.
Yeah. That's where I goofed up.
And John hasn't hit share screen again.
I haven't found the photos yet either.
No, find the share screen and you'll see the photos on what comes up, I think.
Mine didn't. Mine just said, it said photos, and I went, that's where I picked my, then one.
Ah,
There you
There
are.
you go.
Goes.
Getting there,
Almost.
there we go.
No,
Is that
not,
showing?
not quite. We just see your name.
Oh,
Click on the photo and then hit share screen again.
Hey, Katie, I'm not seeing where to raise my hand to show here.
Go
Me
to
either.
participants and then down to the bottom.
Depending on whether you got an iPad or not.
There's a little hand that you,
Oh, yeah,
when you
now
put
I'm-
your cursor on it,
Now
it'll,
I'm seeing it, yeah.
On the bottom of the list of participants,
Like,
it's raise hand.
well, it's at the top where I'm seeing now, but
Oh, on
anyhow,
the
I found it.
oh well.
try again. We want you to do it.
Yeah.
What are you looking
No.
at?
I'm trying to find my photos now, and so go to the next person if you can. I don't know. I don't know where to.
Okay, we'll come back to you, John. Don Gore, are
Right.
you ready to go?
Yeah, I am.
Okay,
I'm not gonna, but I just got it sitting here, so I don't have to do all that stuff.
okay.
First off, for Gary, I just wanted to let you know I'm working on some of these things for you.
Beautiful, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Don, you need to back up a little because,
Yeah, okay.
yeah,
I gotta
Oh, look
back
at
way
that.
after this one.
yeah, look at that.
This way.
No,
I got a
we-
couple
no,
of these
you're
I'm
the one
working
that's,
on,
you're the one that sees it backwards. We don't. So you turn it back the other way. Yeah, now we
Go.
can read a B. Up a little high, whoop, and ampersand. Yeah, that's good.
B and M.
N, B and N.
Yeah, that's for my son and Brian and his fiance are getting married, and they saw these in Hobby Lobby, and I said I can make that for you.
Good.
So that's what I've been working on. And surprisingly, the font was the thing that was hardest to get up to that size, to find the font and then get it up to that size. Took me quite a while, and I spent so much time on it that instead of taping the pattern to the wood, I taped the wood up, and then I made the pattern thick enough so that I could go around it. And now I still have the pattern if I need to make more or anything else like that.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been working on. That's
So
about
what's
it.
the height? What size is it? How many inches?
Those are 13 inches high and about 10 inches wide, and they're about 1.5 inches thick.
Ooh,
So,
Wow.
yeah, and that wood's almost old as my son. He's gonna be 29 in March.
so what kind of wood is it that's that thick?
Fine.
Pine?
Yeah,
John,
it was a 2x7, I think. And it'd been around for quite a while in my garage, and so I didn't have to go shopping for it. The bad part about it was it's splitting still. So the end split, and I had to glue it back together. Hopefully it won't, it'll have, I got everything else that looks like it was going to split, and I glued it, but hopefully that'll stop it from splitting anymore.
Well, that'll just give it character.
Yeah.
Don, do you soften the edges then?
I
Just touch
haven't
them,
yet.
but you will before it gets top coat.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It
Thank you.
takes quite a while to soften those too.
Yeah, I suppose.
Okay, John Engler, are you still on?
Yeah,
I can't find your name.
He turned his video off.
yeah, I was screwing around with it went off for a while, but I should be back on.
Are
You
you,
are. I can see you.
where did you go?
I'm
here?
just under iPhone right now, I think.
Stop the
I see it.
spotlight.
I see it. Are you ready, John?
Well, I'll try it. If it doesn't work, I've got it sitting here. I can just show you too.
Okay, go ahead and try it.
Keeps wanting me to change settings here or whatever. I'll just hold it up here.
Okay,
I had a picture of it, but it's not working.
you're gonna have to back way up.
Can you see
Oh,
it?
nice.
Nice.
Can you see it okay?
That's really
Guys,
nice.
Wow.
It's Judy Gal Roberts
Ah.
pattern. I don't know if you can see the different angles here, but then
Yeah.
it comes with, then you make a ornament goes over the top of it.
Oh, cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Excellent.
Lovely.
Very nice.
What kind of wood, John?
It's all aspen and western red cedar. And the ornament is blue pine with some walnut.
Very
How
nice.
did you put the words in there?
Well, it's just fret cut. I mean, it's just, you just fret it out.
Oh,
Yeah.
That is pretty.
drill a hole and cut it, huh?
Oh, got them out. Yeah, and western red cedar doesn't work very well for that. That's what Judy used, but I'd use something different. Some of these are just too narrow and it's too brittle I had to fix 2 or 3 of these because they broke out
Yeah.
for no good reason. So I'd use something other than the western red cedar for that. But
Can I see the ornament part again?
what now?
Can you show me the ornament part again?
Oh.
Yeah, that's cool. And how did you do that one?
What do you mean?
I mean,
Is that
it-
inlay?
Well, yeah,
No.
yeah. It's
Okay.
3 pieces, I guess.
Three.
You know, it's the brown, and then there's 2 sides here.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a little tricky to get fit in there nice, but
Wow.
You cut those at the same time?
Um,
The brown, put one on top of
no, I didn't. No, I
when you cut it, did you stack them when you cut them, or did you cut them separately?
I did it separate. I'm not big on stack cutting. I'm like Jeff, I don't do it that often, but that might work for this. It's not that thick, but
You just retraced it after you had it got cut out with
yeah,
scroll saw, right? Yeah.
yeah. Or I use the edge. Sometimes I'll take take the pattern, I'll cut out this and then use that pattern line, follow the pattern line on the next piece. I'll just pull off the pattern carefully and then stick it to the next piece and then follow that line. That works pretty good.
Any other questions for John?
How long did it take you to make that?
It never takes that long to cut these out. I usually figure 3 times the cutting. Judy always said it takes 3 times the hours cutting as the finish as the cut. That took a while because I kept, I don't know. It's hard to just do it because there's so many different things to, I don't know how many feathers are there and you have to do each one. And so you get bored with it and put it away. But yeah, you get a few hours in it before you're done.
I was gonna say, did you start with different thicknesses of aspen for your doves, or did you do a whole pile of sanding?
I'd done doves before, and I learned that for those lower wings, the ones in the back, just start with something like 3/8 or half.
Yeah, I've made some of hers too, and yeah,
it just saves a lot of time.
They help. I think when I've did it, I've actually used 3 different sizes, 3 different thicknesses.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Very nice.
Come up here.
Okay, next is going to be Steve Harder, and Maureen, you're on deck.
You want to come up here and see what I'm looking at?
Somebody needs to put their mute on.
Mute the dog. Mute the dog.
Mute the dog. Do we know who it is?
I think it's David's dog.
Ollie.
Do you know how to do mute, Dave? Do you also have an iPhone,
I think it's
Steve?
Travis.
Oh, Travis. It's gone. No,
Yep.
it's not gone. Do you have a iPhone or iPad, Steve Harder?
Me, I have a pad. I'm trying to do a share now if I can.
Yeah. You're having the same problem that Jeff and, oh, it was almost there. There it is.
Now you have to go pick your picture.
All right.
This is bookshelf unit. This
Oh,
was
wow.
sort of a curio shelf without ends on it, and so we wanted to use it for a bookshelf. I got these patterns that are wildlife patterns and made a different one for each shelf.
Beautiful.
And then I made the framing with the river birch. Well, actually, all the wood is river birch that was from my own farm place, and we had that cut out and milled down to size.
Yeah,
And
nice.
so this is one side with the woodpecker, the squirrel, and the raccoon. And I'll show you the next one. And that was.
Give me a nose rub.
That's
On
the
the
other
other side.
Wow.
More of the dragonfly, the goose, and the frog.
Wow.
Very nice.
Very nice.
Yeah, beautiful.
What are those insets made of, Steve? Of the squirrel and stuff?
What you mean? What kind of wood is that?
Yeah, how thick is it too?
That was a 1/2 inch thick river birch.
Oh, okay.
But it's not inset, it's just fretwork.
Yeah, they're 8.5 by 10 sheet pieces.
Yep.
And then the board it's put in is 3/4 inch thick with rabbited out so that 1/2 inch piece of fretwork can fit inside that.
Yeah,
nice. These are the ones I use, that 1/4 inch plywood for the backing to hold them in place.
Yeah, yeah.
That was fun to do.
Yeah, very nice.
Good Very nice work.
Come here, Ollie. Come here, girl.
You think that was Dave Faith?
Yeah, I think so.
I can mute him. Okay, thank you, Steve. You have to, is there anyone have any other questions for Steve?
No.
Okay, then Warren's gonna be next. Whoops, wait a second here.
Steve has to stop sharing.
Yeah, Steve, you have to stop sharing.
Yeah.
Open it.
Oh, here. There we go. I got it. I think. There we go.
All right.
Good.
And there's Warren. And who's on deck? Gary, you're gonna be on deck.
Okay.
Let's see. So, here's what I've been doing. I've been in this room.
Taking a shower?
Yeah. Yeah. Just a baby shower. No. Here's the before look. A day later, it looked like this, and then it progressed to one day after that, another day. So basically, I gutted the bathroom. Okay.
Oh, wow.
I did this.
Love what you've done.
I did this 25 years ago, and it looked like that.
Wow.
Who's the kid?
That's my son. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Wow.
But let's see.
Was it any more fun this time around?
Well, it's in progress. So, like I said, it still looks like this mostly. I have a guy coming in a couple hours, help me put in a shower pan here, but then I'm going to try to do the rest to build up the rest myself.
Wow.
So
No scroll sawing in that project, I see.
Yeah.
I did do some scroll sawing. Now, how do I switch out of this?
You might want to do a new share.
Yeah,
Oops, you did, or now you just share again.
I'll share again. And this is the one thing I made for my wife for Valentine's Day.
Oh,
So,
nice.
Another Steve Good.
Yeah, I'm stuck on Steve.
I saw that. I saw it just not too long ago. It's a neat pattern.
Yeah, so I had to make that. That was one thing I took away from my bathroom work. I had to do something. I do the stamp, I have trouble putting the stamp on the bottom. So I got to do twice. That's it.
Is that an ink stamp?
No, it's a branding iron.
Wood burn.
A branding. Oh, wood burning.
Branding
brand.
iron.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to do that anymore. So that's all I have.
Okay, and let's see. Next up is Gary. Let's see.
Here's that slotted tulip I was telling you about. This is Steve Good's pattern, but he's got a bumblebee on it, and I removed that, and then down on the base.
We're not seeing it yet.
Gary, you have to.
Oh, there it
you
is.
go.
That's a tulip.
It's a slotted tulip, Steve Good. If you'll want to find it, it's a bee and a tulip, and it's 8.5 inches tall. He's got a double base on it, and I only did one base. That's all it's needed. So it comes out about 8.5 inches instead of 9. But this is what we're making now for the TLC toys. And like I said, I just finished some yesterday that I reduced the pattern down to 6 inches. And like I said, you got to be careful when you do that, because when you reduce it down, the width, the 1/4 inch plywood doesn't change. So, so you got to make sure you get your slot big enough. And then also the stem reduces down. Then I found out that it got to be too thin because it got reduced. So then I had to go back and enlarge the stem. And so it took a few shots at it, but I'll be sharing this pattern and the 6-inch one shortly with everybody. So if you want to start making these with the plywood, go ahead. So it's anyhow, that's it.
Nice.
Good.
That's the only thing you're showing?
That's the only thing I'm showing. I've been doing a lot of plaques that they're overlays, where you got a person's name and their last name is in the background, and their first names are overlaid in them. But I'm not ready to share those yet. They're not done.
Okay. And I think that, is there anyone else? That's all, those are all the hands I have. Is there anyone who didn't know how to raise their hand?
I couldn't find anything to raise my hand, Katie. I just got a couple little things.
Okay, let me highlight you.
All right.
Just a minute. Okay, you're gonna share your screen?
No, I'm just gonna hold these up.
Oh, that doesn't work with you. Oh, yeah, it does, but it's hard with your background.
Mm.
It's really hard with your background.
Let's see, what if I shut this background off?
That would work. That would work.
Okay, is that under video, Mike?
Yes, under the up arrow with start and stop video, choose virtual background.
There you go. There,
I'll
it's
go.
gone. It's
Okay, there we go.
Ooh,
All right.
I love my snow blower.
My neighbor loves to snow blow, and he just goes out there and he just blows everybody's snow. And so I just kind of paint the backer and then put that behind it. So, and I found these online, the guy and the snow blower. And so I just kind of combined them together to form a picture and then cut them out.
That's good. What as the tiles, what are the tiles made out of?
That's some of Gary's plywood.
Oh.
And then I got another.
Glad to see you put it to good use.
Oh yeah, and I got another one.
Oh, nice. Or to say my paycheck.
Or say my paycheck. I've got a gal that I used to work with at Northwest, and she had these horses, and they did eat her paycheck. So that's it. That's what I've got.
Those are pretty neat.
Yeah, those are fun.
Dave Gade, I see your hand is there. You'll be next. Let me just see here. Hey, Dave.
Okay, I was thinking about that tulip. If you cut the head of the tulip off and then cut the flowers out and skip the stem.
What have you got?
When you glue them together, drill a 3/16 inch hole in the bottom of the flower and the middle of the stem and use a dowel. And then you don't have to worry about that size change and a 1/4 inch being too thin.
Did you get that, Gary?
Okay, could you repeat that?
Okay, you're cutting your flower out of 2 pieces and sliding them together. But if you make the flower separate and the leaves separate, and then connect the 2 of them with a 3/16 inch dowel, that reduces your 1/4 inch thickness when you cut 8 down to 6.
Yeah, I hear you. The initial tulips that we made, we have them with a dowel. I had that with a dowel, but that becomes, I think that becomes more work because you got 2 holes you got to drill, and one of them is oval, and you got to drill it before you actually cut them, because then once they're round, they want to roll on you when you go to drill them. So I find that the slotted one is going to be a whole lot easier than using dowels. But you can use a dowel.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, I had started making those, cutting the flower portion out of 2x2s. And then they paint up real pretty.
All right.
Anyone else?
I have a question,
Oh,
Katie.
Go ahead.
You don't need to share me. My question is, because from you and Tarja people, what do you use for green? What woods, that's pretty easily available? What do you use for green?
Poplar.
But it's not really green. How do you get it green?
It'll turn green.
Or be more selective when you pick it out I just buy it at Menards, and if you kind of pick through the pile, some's white, more whitish or gray.
Yeah, you can find some boards that are really a light green, dark green, it's all over the place. The problem with it doesn't stay green forever. So if you got it in a place where a lot of sunlight in that, it'll turn brown on you. But I've had some.
Judy, Judy Gill Roberts is using a UV, Krylon UV satin spray to, and
Yeah,
she said that's holding the color.
Huh.
It depends on the wood. Some woods will hold it longer than others, but they'll all turn dark eventually. Or turn
Last
brown.
time John Blakoyak was on, he told us about 3 woods that he found. One was on that, what's that junk tree called?
Oh, that's
buckthorn.
Buckthorn, yeah. I don't know if that was the green one, or he also did a lilac bush. That was lilac though, but there was another one. Buckthorn was orange.
Buckthorn, yeah, buckthorn's more
orange.
orangish. Yeah,
But-
it's got really pretty grain.
But he
Yeah,
had
it's
another
supposed to
one.
be a Christmas tree.
He had another one. What was it? Well, I don't know if I put it in the newsletter last time or not, but I'll look it up and let you know. That's Dave Gabe,
Great.
right? Who wants that?
No, it's Don Gore.
Don Gore. Okay.
Gore
I'll-
down
You
the
could,
alphabet.
Don Gore. I'll let
Don,
you.
you could also use wood stain, or I mean, not stain, but the wood coloring, the dye.
yeah.
If you made it light enough, you could control how dark or how light it was. You could kind of get it to a point where you could get it light enough, or that you could it would stay. Because I have used that before.
Yep.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Okay, anyone else? Well, I guess it's back to you, Gary.
Okay. Are there any general announcements that anyone wants to make or bring up? Our next meeting is going to be Saturday, March 6th. And at that meeting, we will be electing our officers. So the ballots can still keep coming in, and volunteers, anybody that wants to volunteer, just come forward. We're still accepting all of those.
Watch
And
out, or we'll volunteer for you.
yeah, you may get a phone call if I don't hear from a lot of people. But anyhow, I think this was a really good meeting, and everybody stay safe. And do we have a motion to conclude the meeting?
So moved.
All in favor, say
Second.
aye. Second,
Aye.
first we have a second, yeah.
Second.
Then aye.
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 Opposed, nay,
Nay,
unanimous. Oh, we have one nay.
Yeah.
Cut 'em.
I'll be keeping, I'll be keeping
Carol,
this.
did you get that in the minutes that Steve wants to continue with the meeting? He voted against closing it.
That was Mike Snyder, and he's a go.
Mike Snyder.
Or Mike Snyder.
Yeah.
I've been outvoted.
We're gonna mute him.
Yeah, I will leave the Zoom on for a while if people want to talk to one another, and I would encourage everybody to send a text to both Jill and Bill.
Will you send me that information on Jill and Bill?
I will, and I already did by email.
If you look at the chat, if you click on chat down below, it'll bring up the whole chat dialogues. You can either copy it from there, or down at the bottom of the chat, there's a little ... that says more that'll let you save it.
All right.
I don't know how to get to the chat.
Okay.
Move your cursor down to the bottom,
Uh-huh.
and there's a chat, share screen, right next to share screen should be. Or
Well,
else
there's more,
well,
maybe, no.
click
that's-
on more.
Chat, that's it. Okay, I see it now. Thank you.
Do you see the chat there?
I do know.
Okay.
Actually, in the chat, that it's a live link. You can just click on it and it'll open a page.
If it's a website.
If it's a website, yeah, as Katie's message is, or not Katie's, but Denny's.
Danny, yeah.
That's their telephone number for Bill and Jill you're putting there?
I did already. It's there
Yeah,
somewhere.
I mean, that's what it is, right? That's their telephone number.
Yeah, and I sent an email to everyone with their email address and their text number.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, you can leave at will now, because we're over, right? But if you
Yeah,
want to
I have one
adjourned.
question.
Wait.
I have one question, Katie. Bill and Jill, Danny said they were in Texas. Are they in Texas or are they here now?
They're in the hospital, Don, with COVID-19.
Yeah, but are they
That
here?
was quite a while ago.
I'm sorry. Yeah, they did say they're in St. Joseph Hospital in St. Paul.
Yeah,
Oh,
they're
okay.
probably back now. That was probably almost a month. It was right after our last meeting. They
Yeah,
were
they're back
driving
from-
down to Texas with bring their son back. I think he lives down there, and they were so they probably they're probably back by now.
They probably brought COVID back.
Yeah.
And-
Traveling.
Somewhere along the way.
Mm. Or their son.
Bad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
too bad.
like I say, people can leave at will because the meeting's over, but keep on talking, folks.